Hey Soul Tribe, I thought I would just pop on and do a little bit of an energetic update. So we have been moving through this Eclipse Corridor now just past the midway point. So much has been happening in the last week, and I thought I would just come on and share with you some of the energetic themes and patterns that are coming up. I know that some people are quite isolated, alone, or may not have supportive people around them to understand what is occurring. So I thought I would try and come on and bring a bit of context around what some of us may be moving through. So the first thing I want to express is the profound changes that are and transformation and reset that's happening within the physical body. The physical body is going through a lot right now, trying to process and break down a lot of old energy templates that have been held within our system, and gearing up for a new, what I've been talking about, the new illuminated light body to come online. And so it's putting the physical body in all sorts. What I've been noticing is the requirement for different types of foods. So foods that I would never ever touch is what my body's responding to. And what I normally eat, it's having all types of adverse reactions. I know that this is just temporary, but I know as we go through this clearing and detoxification process, energetically and physically, it's just being able to move with the body and what the body needs and wants in each moment. So, I mentioned before going through things like detoxes, parasite cleanses, really, really important, because that just helps hold and clear the physical vessel to hold more and anchor more light. One thing that I would address with that is go in soft and gentle. Don't go in too hard and too fast. Otherwise, you're going to get all sorts of die-off symptoms, which I think are inevitable anyway. But just to be really mindful of trying to be slow and gentle. As we clear and detoxify, harmful bacterias, toxins, parasites and all that, we're less susceptible to having attachments, entities, parasitic entities, energies to cling into our field. We're no longer a vibrational match for that. And speaking about that, what I've noticed and witnessed is there's so much dark and distorted energy that's coming up into the forefront, whether you're witnessing that within yourself or in people around you or going out in public. It's like there's so much new, what I feel, energy that's coming in that's really breaking down some of the levels of veils that we have probably not being able to see the truth or the integrity. That feels like it's at an all-time high, and I think that people who potentially have hosts or vessels have, whether it's energies or distorted energies or entities, that is being really exacerbated quite predominantly, like quite pronouncedly. And so you may even feel like in the collective field there is a lot of tension, frustration, aggression, a lot of anger energy surfacing. But I also think that that's part of the purification process that's occurring. So just be mindful of that. And what I've noticed as we've kind of stepped into a new energetic bandwidth or frequency threshold, it's apparent that it becomes very, very clear to see other people's patternings. So what I've witnessed a lot is people kind of looping in lots of sort of gossip energy or frustration or victim blaming, that type of energy. So it's really, if that's not the space that you're in, you know, be really mindful not to get dragged into that type of energy. And you might even, I've noticed is that when we go through a significant timeline jump, which we're in the middle of right now, you can even think of another person can think of you. And if they're in a discord energy or an energy that's a mismatch to your own, you can start to get entangled into that. So if they're going through lack or scarcity or fear or frustration, that starts to intertwine in your field. So it's like just being very, very cautious of our own energetic, boundaries at this point moving through this. What has become so clear is that we are clearing out so much karmic energy, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into what I mean or my interpretation of karmic energy. So the way that I see karmic energy is threads or energy cords that are plugged into our system. This may be something that has still latched in or connected to us from what we can perceive in linear time as a past life, something that we haven't reconciled within ourselves, or key players, characters. And so we play that out until that is, done, complete. But this taps into our multidimensionality too. This could be any sort of aspect of us that is functioning in the multi-dimensional realms that is still active. And so there's a lot of those cords collapsing. What I was shown was as we're shifting through this next threshold or phase, we're moving into, or for those that are on that ascension timeline and trajectory, we're moving into a space where we can't hold any more karmic debt, so to speak. And when I say those words, it's like whatever hasn't been, I want to use the word synthesized, I don't even know if that anyway, what hasn't been alchemized and completed is coming up very, very rapidly and sometimes quite abruptly, for us to close off those timelines and bring our energy and essence back into us here and now. And that's what's required moving into this phase. So I'll give you an example, because I think we've moved through about 10 months of very heavy collective density. And there's also been an element of our own programming that's come up. And this is where our physical body is the greatest tool to be able to help navigate and move through this. So the example that I can give you is, for the last month I've had this very significant ache in my stomach. And I've done all the physical things that I know necessary to be able to clear that. Nothing worked. Absolutely nothing worked. So a part of the Eclipse container that I'm running at the moment is daily clearing or activations. And each day I get a new download of a process to go through. I go through it and then I hand it into the beautiful people, thank you, love you all, who have raised their hand and joined. So this one in particular has been such a pronounced theme of these energetic tethers that are plugged into sort of karmic energy. And I say that like very loosely termed. Energies that we haven't reconciled within ourselves that are connected to alternative timelines, past timelines, could be this lifetime, could play into other lifetimes or other aspects of us. So it's quite broad, but these are all the things that are sort of almost imploding inwards so that we can really activate and come online the soul essence. And so I was going through that process, and there were 5 core themes, and these themes have been very, very highlighted in my field for months now, looping. So I worked with them through this technique of being able to dissolve them and trace them back to their origins. And I noticed that each one was quite a big cord that then had sort of tentacles, offshoots of it into. So each one could hold up to another 5. When I went through that clearing and dissolving, it was actually removing programs that were connected into other experiences that my soul has had in another time, and then bringing my energy essence back to myself. So really powerful process and technique. And I kid you not, the pain in my stomach went away immediately and has not come back. So I guess the moral of the story is our body is so powerful and in tune with the energetics of what's holding or limiting us. So listen to and pay attention to what your body is showing you. And incredibly enough, I feel that this sort of karmic energy reconciliation, I don't get a time frame on it, but when it came through, it was so loud and clear, like there's no more. There's no more playing in the reincarnation cycle loop. And so people who still have pending energies that haven't been looked at, dissolved, cleared, reconciled, it needs to be done now. So that's one huge component and aspect. And I noticed that after I did that process, the programs, these thoughts, these programs that have been running for months now have all completely gone. And so what I learned from that is often we can get stuck in our lives, but it's based on other experiences that we haven't almost done that soul retrieval from. So that's another aspect that's coming up really, really loudly. Is being able to go through and do this kind of soul retrieval process. And that is also helping the physical body transform. Energy imprints and looping. So another thing, because there's so much clearing that's coming out, up and out so rapidly, is to be really conscientious of cleaning your home and your environment. Otherwise, you're going to stay in those stagnant energies for much longer than necessary. So yeah, just cleansing, cleaning, doing the energy work, shifting. In an additional note to that, it was shown to me a couple of years ago, because the energetic grids and ley lines have been shifting quite significantly. So what is coming up, I get huge chills, I'm about to say this. What's coming up again is there's been another big shift in the grids and the ley lines, and there's a lot coming up for release from the actual earth itself. And what happens is, if there has been, let's say, ceremonies and rituals and dark magic and all that type of thing, where they usually do that in specific geographical locations, because the shifting of the grids and the ley lines is moving, it's actually, that energy is moving and opening up portals where they weren't before. So a lot of earth clearing may be required at this point. I've done a huge clearing on my house again. It was about, I reckon, 2.5 years ago that process happened, and there were big portals that were opened up, which creating absolute chaos and disharmony within the area, the home. So that's coming up again. So that might be, if you're noticing a lot of supernatural phenomena happening in the home, a lot of disturbance energy or just dense energy, it might be worth having a look at doing a bit of home and land clearing as well. What else? Okay, clearings based off, because we're going, I feel like everyone's shifting up into their next bandwidth. I'll go into that a little bit more probably in the next update, because I've been shown 3 tiers. So everyone's sort of making their next leap. And for a lot of people who've gone through, let's say, a Kundalini awakening, a big activation, there is a lot of clearing out of the energy column that is occurring. I went through a big process myself about midweek, whereas you might hit a frequency threshold of consciousness within your own experience, but then a lot of density gets pulled in and dragged in, whether that be external influences or your own stuff coming up or a combination of both, that then kind of puts you into a dark night or puts you into like a deep purification phase. But also I wish I had the words, because it was so powerful and clear when it came. It can attract a lot of entities. That is all being kind of cleared out through the central column for a lot of people, because everyone's being prepared to embody the next frequency bandwidth. I think there's more to say about that, but I'm jumping around. Another part is be really diligent in your clearing when you wake up from dream space, whether it be in the morning or you take a nap during the day, because there's a lot of soul energy integration of consciousness trying to come into the body, coming back. You know, I was talking about those parallel realities closing off, a lot of timelines collapsing in on themselves from our own personal story, and sometimes it's pulling in some of the dark or heavier aspects, so that can be creating a little bit of feeling off center. Another thing that I was told with the physical body is sometimes if we can't get a diagnosis or we're doing everything that we possibly can to clear something. I went through this experience today. It's actually connected to another aspect that's trying to come back in. So there's a lot of bleed through. In essence, what I'm saying is a lot of bleed through energy happening. But what I have noticed, which has been so beautiful, is the light's coming back on. People are getting switched back on again. We're moving out of that stagnant, heavy, dense. Like things are starting to accelerate significantly, and there's a lot of activation and energy coming through. There was a huge heart expansion energy that came in just about 48 hours ago, and just the expansion and opening in the heart. And this all happened as we moved just past Equinox. So it was the 21st of March. I woke up and it was just innate in me. I was like, oh, we've moved a whole timeline. We've moved into a totally new space. And that's only starting to open up and become more and more apparent. I have noticed on that day, on the 21st, I was witnessing a lot of double layered reality happening simultaneously. So I'll be in my house, and this happened all day. I'll be in my house and I went to move around, and then I thought I was about to walk into a chair, and then I looked, it wasn't there. So there is this integrating of the higher timeline coming in. I don't think we're going to feel the anchor or the solidification of that until the end of the month, but that is sort of where we're working towards. But it feels like there is this sort of back and forth isolation, but I'm not going to underestimate the level of intense clearing that is happening on a personal and collective level right now. Relationships are really going through the ringer. A lot of karmic endings of connections, relationships, marriages, you name it. There is another huge wave of that just going through a massive overhaul and breakdown right now. And I think that is due to that message that I received, that the space that we're moving into, there's no more how do I say it? I can't even find the words for it. It's not we're moving out of the entire incarnation cycle, so we can't actually pull through any energies that may tie us or cord us back into any past life energies. That's kind of closing out. And I was like, oh, okay. The time frame on that, I don't know. You know, I feel like that's going to be individual. I think for some it's very accelerated and very quick. I do feel like we're in a condensed period, probably until about June, July-ish, where I think for a lot of people that will close out entirely. Counterparts are, the energy of the counterparts in the golden grids is coming back online quite strongly. So you may be in separation or not connected, but strong soul connections, there's a ramp up of that, and it feels like it's a part of the building of the fundamental lay down of the grounding. It's another layer of grounding of this relationship template that's coming in, and I think that's why we're seeing so much disruption and so much clearing around relationships. And this may not even just be romantic partnerships, this can be all types of dynamics. I know that astrologically there is a Venus retrograde and a kamikaze and all that. I did sort of scan that, and I think that could be an aspect in play, but I think we're just at one of those tipping points right now. I hope, there's a lot more contact that's happening. Higher dimensionals are really making their presence known. I know that my work is changing significantly because the energetics and the influences that are coming in, or the aspects of me that are coming in and coming online. So I think that people who are in a similar profession, if you are in service in any way, you're probably noticing there's an upgrade to your modalities. There's a change to your work. Old projects are dropping away because we're moving into this entirely new space. And I think once we land in April, I think we're going to have a better grasp of what that actually looks like. So yeah, a lot of people having contact, conscious contact. There's a lot of ship activity in the sky yet again that sort of ramped up, and of course with all the new findings under the pyramid, I think that just supports anyone that I've ever spoken to's intuitive hunch about what's really going on under the Great Pyramids. So that just triggered off to me this a lot of the information that was coming through to me back in May, that there's this kind of unlocking of abundance that is coming through, that's part of ancestral reconciliation. So how do I break that down? I'd have to go back into it, but I feel like I could feel like the release of the capstone of any limitations that have been brought through ancestrally. That sort of, not yet, I'm not seeing a theme of that yet, but I think that'll be quite pronounced as this Egyptian pyramid energy is really coming into focus. Maybe not just Egyptian pyramid, but the pyramid, or the geometry of the pyramid and the Trinity. So one thing that comes to mind, sorry I'm rattling off like a billion different things, but one thing that comes to mind also is a lot of the inversion implants or energetic overlays. So when I was talking about the karmic energy tethers into past life, there is also a hijacking system that creates false timelines, false energy implants that aren't actually real, that can keep a lot of our energy locked into looping systems and networks. And this has happened quite sneakily, is a replication of like a transference of our own energy into a corrupted timeline and false memories and things like that. So there's a lot of clearing around that happening as well. I think that's enough. I've kept it around, it's just gone over 20 minutes, but that's just my recap for the week. Lots and lots happening. It's my summary. I just wanted to get that out because I think that that's going to help someone, maybe a few of you, to understand some of the energetic tones that I'm witnessing, and it might give you a little guiding points of how to support yourself and navigate the best way. But there is some exciting times. I can really feel things accelerating and ramping up, and we're in for a big ride. So of course, if you need support, connect with me. If not, I will see you in my next update. Much love. Bye.